C10s are so popular that your friends or neighbors may have one, and it's most likely that even your grandma cruises one too. But what's cooler than owning a C10? Having one that's been customized to the point that it stands out from the sea of other trucks. Well, hello everyone. I'm Kevin, your guide in the vast world of custom lower trucks. It probably comes to no surprise to hear that Chevy C10s are hotter than a jalapeno on a summer day in Texas. These trucks have been setting trends since they first rolled off the assembly line, and their popularity hasn't cooled down one bit. From their timeless design to their rugged charm, C10s have a way of turning heads wherever they go. Whether you're cruising down the highway or parked at a car show, you can bet that all eyes will be on you and your vintage C10. But it's not just about looks. C10s can be hot under the hood too. With the right mods and upgrades, these trucks can pack a serious punch. LS swaps, turbochargers, superchargers, you name it. C10 owners have done it all in the pursuit of more power. And let's not forget about the custom scene. From slam suspensions to killer paint jobs, C10s are a favorite canvas for automotive enthusiasts everywhere. Whether you're into classic cruisers or modern street machines, there's a C10 mod out there with your name on it. With that being said, there's no doubt in saying that these trucks are hotter than a 3-alarm fire. C10s are so popular that your friends or neighbors may have one, and it's most likely that even your grandma cruises one too. But what's cooler than owning a C10? Having one that's been customized to the point that it stands out from the sea of other trucks. So, for those of you looking to go the distance with your classic pickup, let's discuss several modifications and best upgrade parts for Chevy C10s that can transform one of these trucks into a real head-turner. First things first, let's talk about power. Some of these trucks came with smaller inline 6-cylinder engines, leaving many to crave more oomph under the hood. However, others came with stout small block or big block V8 engines that had a decent amount of power to get the job done. Now, all these engines will get you down the road, but that doesn't mean there isn't more to be desired here. In my opinion, inline 6 engines are not worth keeping for several reasons. One is that they don't have much performance potential, and the other is that it's harder to source repair parts to revive them. I think it's simply easier to ditch them and swap in something way better. And at this point, you might be asking, what is the best engine for Chevy C10s? Well, luckily for some C10s, many of them originally came with V8 engines, and to put a cherry on top of those extraordinary trucks, there are many ways to make them push out more power. However, these engines are usually tired and need to be refreshed. Even if they have low mileage on them, age has an effect on all the components. And this goes especially for the seals. What you don't want to have are leaky head gaskets that can pour coolant into the engine, or excessive oil leaks, as these can both cause failures. I would recommend a bare minimum of giving these engines a refresh if you are on a budget and want cheap fixes for your C10. But if you're looking to get more out of these V8s, then you are in luck, as these Chevy engines are well known and respected by all classic vehicle enthusiasts. They are such a reliable source of horsepower that it is very commonplace for hot rodders to add them to old Fords. That fact alone speaks volumes for how good these engines are. When it comes to modifying them, the options are literally limitless here. For starters, you can increase fuel flow with carburetors, intakes, cylinder heads, and even camshafts. To go even further, you can increase the displacement of the cylinders and even force more air in with a supercharger or turbo system. These two methods will basically force more air in to dramatically boost power. However, I can say that as strong and powerful as these engines are, they are a bit old school. They are an older technology that is not as efficient at making power. Yes, there are electronic fuel injection systems for these engines that allow them to run better, but in my experience, they don't really help with efficiency. On top of that, I feel that these older V8s are more rowdy when idling, which can be fun at first, but annoying when the newness wears off. I've heard several stories of people having old school supercharged V8s and end up swapping them out for modern, naturally aspirated engines. If you have more budget, I think it's a smart decision to swap in an LS or even a newer direct injection LT engine. LS engines are like small blocks in the way that there are more options for upgrades, but they do cost substantially more. LT engines are becoming more popular, but are harder to retrofit as you need to add a power steering pump if you're running modern suspension. Though I will say that LT engines are stronger and can hold up better when pushing out more power. But remember, with great power comes great responsibility, and you need to make sure that your drivetrain can handle all the extra pony. I could tell you that some GM transmissions like the 4L60 are notorious for not holding up to power. But I think this stems from people overloading them with power or even expecting them to hold up while towing too much weight. I would say do yourself a favor and get a built transmission rated for the power you expect to put down. For those who want to keep your old school V8s, Turbo 350s and Turbo 400 transmissions can be built to hold big power, but will rev high at high speeds. My solution is to use an analog 700R4 or a 204R from a Buick Grand National or Pontiac Firebird to get an overdrive gear without having to add any electronics. Another key piece is to have a trusty rear axle. Most of these trucks came with a 12 bolt that can be beefed up, but I firmly believe that Ford's 9-inch is a superior option. You can check out a previous video I did on them by clicking the link in the description below. Next up, we got suspension. Lowering your C10 gives it a sleek, mean stance that'll turn heads wherever you roll. Drop kits, air suspension, take your pick. Just make sure you do it right. I cannot stress this enough, as many people buy cheap parts in order to save cash but end up with a rough riding truck. If you only want to drop your C10 a few inches, simple springs and spindles will get you there. For a more dramatic drop, you can use these parts in combination with the rear flip kit on leaf spring trucks. But remember, the further you go down, the more you're going to sacrifice when it comes to ride quality. That is, unless you do a serious suspension overhaul with a coilover system. I would recommend components from TCI, RideTech, and QA1, as I have driven trucks with them and can tell you they have superior ride quality and can handle high performance needs. For those looking to go further with air ride, you are in luck, as there are many companies like Portabuilt that provide kits that are easy to install on these classic pickups. Though I would lean more to swapping out the chassis entirely with a new one from TCI, Roadster Shop, or even GSI, as it will completely modernize your C10. Best of all, companies like Aguilar and Airlift have management systems that make selecting heights easy. Though I will say that air ride is expensive and will need more maintenance over time. Now let's talk aesthetics. I think it is key here to find a solid original truck. Though patina style trucks are cool, you don't want a truck that has a lot of damage or has rusted out sections. You might have to pay more up front for a solid truck, but it'll be worth it in the end, as you will save a lot of time with repairs. But for those that don't really have a choice in this part, there are reputable companies like LMC Truck, Brothers, and Classic Industries that have good quality reproduction parts. Or you can also buy a full second-gen C10 cab and all body panels from my friends at Premier Street Rod if you want the best foundation and can pony up for one of those kits. On top of having a straight body, a killer paint job can make or break your custom C10. Two-tone schemes, pinstriping, custom graphics, the sky's the limit. Just be prepared to open your wallet wide. Quality paint doesn't come cheap. Though, you can apply a wrap to help save, and I have even seen people create a faux patina paint job for cheap. That's definitely a cheap C10 fix. And don't forget about the interior. For the older trucks, they are sparse on the inside, as C10s were made for hauling. There's definitely less possibility of having broken parts on these earlier model pickups, but later models have more plastic pieces that break with time. The companies I talked about for exterior parts also have good interior parts as well. The most common need for repairs here is with the seating. The vinyl upholstery usually deteriorates, but this can easily be replaced for cheap. If you have more to spend, TMI Products is the name in the game of getting an interior in a box delivered directly to your house. Though I will say that I can spot these kits out in the blink of an eye, and obviously if you want something more custom, the sky's the limit here. I've seen many jaw-dropping interiors on old haulers, but just make sure it's as comfortable as it is cool. You don't want to sacrifice function for style. While you're at it, a good sound system can make long drives more fun. I prefer using head units from Retro Sound, as they have modern features like Bluetooth connectivity while having an original look. Last but not least, let's talk about wheels and tires. Nothing sets off a custom C10 like a killer set of rims and some meaty rubber. But remember, size matters. Make sure your wheels and tires are proportionate to your truck's new stance, or you'll end up looking like you're driving an exaggerated Hot Wheels car. That is, unless you're into that sort of thing. There are also many options like old school Steelies, or you can go wild with billet, or even one-off wheels. From my experience, I can tell you that coated or painted wheels are easier to keep clean, and raw polished billet is a pain to keep shiny. Now when it comes to tires, there's a lot to think about in this segment, as you might have differing performance or sizing needs here. Thankfully, companies like Nitto Tire have you covered with a variety of tread designs that will help you grip the road in style. Just remember to get a good alignment to ensure longevity, as a bad alignment will eat up your tires really quick. I know it can also be confusing to pick out tires, and lucky for you, I did a whole video on this subject, and again, I'll drop the link to it in the description below. Now I know what you're thinking, how much is all this going to cost me? Well, brace yourself because customizing a C10 ain't usually cheap. But here's the thing, it's worth every penny. There's nothing quite like the satisfaction of rolling down the street in a truck that's older, yet as unique as you are. So there you have it, folks, my crash course in customizing your Chevy C10. Whether you're a seasoned wrencher or a newbie with a dream, just remember to have fun and let your creativity run wild. After all, that's what customizing is all about. Well, my friends, that just about does it for this video, and it's time for me to sign off again. Before I go, I want to thank you for watching this video, and if you made it this far, you might as well help me out by hitting that like button. If you have any thoughts about modifications for Chevy C10s, by all means let me know in the comment section below. Also, make sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss a future video, and we will catch you next time.
Thanks for watching Driving Line. If you guys like this video, consider subscribing to our channel so you'll never miss any of the content we create here. Whether you're into trucks, Jeeps, imports, domestic vehicles, or anything in between, we are here to fuel your passion. So hit that subscribe button and we'll see you guys next time.